Yo, what up? It's your boy Tixfo here, and today I am going to go through what I believe to be the top 5 least popular Dead by Daylight killers. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean anything about how good they are, how bad they are. It's just how much they are talked about and how much you'll see these killers in a regular Dead by Daylight match as a survivor. And it all comes down to how much presence it feels like they have in the whole Dead by Daylight community right now. So without further ado, let's go. Starting up the list, we got Clown. Now, to be fair against the Clown, he has a power that is a little bit hard to use if you are new to the game. So the range of players who play him is usually up to those who have some experience. Now, Clown, his power comes with the bottles. He has slowdown bottles that he throws down on the ground or any other wall that can slow down the survivors around it. He also has speed bottles that makes a cloud full of smoke that gives you speed as well for you and the survivors. Now, I think the thing that makes him very unpopular is that he's a low tier killer. There is not much going for him. He has not much of a range when it comes to his skill ceiling. As long as you're able to hit the bottles consistently, you have pretty much skill him out as much as possible. And overall, I think it's very sad because I do personally believe that Clown is a very, very, very interesting and cool aesthetic killer. Now, but that's just the fact of it, and I never hear people talk about him unless they have managed to get a 4K on a toxic survivor with friend group. Coming in at number 4, we got Freddy. Now, this is a little bit of a weird pick because Freddy is one of the most popular horror icons we have in today's society, generation. Everyone knows who Freddy Krueger is. He is extremely popular in the mainstream. But in Dead by Daylight right now, I never really hear anyone talk about him. Now, that could be because he's a very boring killer to play, and after the nerf he got, which turned him from a high tier killer to a low tier killer, not a lot of people like to play against him and don't really like to play as him. So it's very understandable that some people would rather just forget about his existence at all, because unfortunately in Dead by Daylight there is really not that much to him right now. I do personally really like Freddy, but I gotta be honest that his power, they did him dirty with the power. It's very boring to face against it, and hopefully the only thing that could really save him right now is a total rework of his power. Coming in at number 3, we got Hag. Now, the thing about this list here that is very noticeable is that a lot of the killers on this list are low tier killers that people don't want to practice because they won't get too much out of them compared to other high tier killers. But that's not the thing with Hag. Hag is actually could be argued as a top 5 killer right now in Dead by Daylight. But the problem with her is that she really has a power driven around camping. Now, it's possible to play her without hard camping with her power, but at the same time a lot of people use that strategy when they play as her. But she is indeed a high tier killer. She could be used to her maximum potential and be very, very, very strong, but I just don't think that enough people really love her power enough. She doesn't get talked about too much around in the community anymore. She's only mentioned when there's tier lists in the making. But again, she's a very old killer as well. She is also one of the slowest killers in Dead by Daylight, so that kind of makes sense that she isn't really that much talked about in the game right now. Now, what I do believe is that if she ever would become one of the best killers, she would definitely be one of the most talked about as well, because I do believe if Nurse was in her position, she wouldn't have been as much talked about either. Now, we are at the number 2 spot, which unfortunately goes to the Doctor. Now, a lot of people find the Doctor very annoying to play against, but I personally find it very sad that he really isn't talked about too much, because Doctor was actually the reason I started playing this game, and he has a really interesting power that has a lot of counterplay around it, but unfortunately he's just not that strong of a killer. He is mediocre at the best of the best with the Doctor, knows how to play him against really bad survivors. But once you get to the level of really good survivor with friends, there's not that much you can do with Doctor. Now, I do believe his design, his aesthetic, everything around him is just phenomenal. I really like him as a killer, but again, it's just unfortunate that his power is very annoying to play against. And I think that's what is dragging him so low. Now, coming in at the number 1 spot, there is no surprise about this pick. It is the twins. From the day the twins got released, they were probably the most unpopular killer in the game. Now, why, for some odd reason, are they unpopular immediately after they are released? Well, it could be a lot of different things. It could be that their design is really not that friendly and catering against the Dead by Daylight community. Or it could be that twins as a killer really just promotes both camping and slugging, which again is 2 factors that a lot of the players in the DBD community really hate. And personally, the only fun thing about her is playing Victor and getting these nice lunges. So I've heard, because she is actually the only killer that I haven't unlocked yet. I have played every single killer except her now. I don't want to try her. She doesn't seem too interesting for me. She only has one perk that sounds interesting as a teachable, but it's not enough for me to unlock her. And it totally makes sense that she is one of the least popular killers when she is very boring to face and very boring to play as, unless you're actually trying to play without camping, but then she really just falls off and isn't that strong as a killer. But yeah, that was basically what I believe to be the top 5 least popular killers. Again, all these killers, I feel like they aren't talked about enough in the Dead by Daylight community. Very rarely they are brought up, and I really hope that at one point they will get the recognition they deserve. Except the twins. Alright, goodbye all.